So let's go ahead and get hopping.
So welcome, thank you for joining us today for our webinar. We're going to talk today to some special guests that we'll introduce in just a minute, but first we'll just do a little overview of Knollwood. So Knollwood is a nonprofit. We're located on 16 acres. We're in a residential neighborhood. We're for people 62 and better, and we have 5 different levels of living here at Knollwood. And if you want more information on our community, please be sure to type in your email today. You're welcome to ask questions. We actually appreciate your questions, so Helen can tell you how to do that.
Absolutely. We love having questions during these webinars. So the best thing to do if you want to queue in a question is to take your mouse, your cursor, and hover it over the bottom of the screen. We have a Q&A box and a chat box, so you can enter your questions in either of those 2 places. Like Heidi said, if you want more information, please leave us your email address, or additionally, you can go to our website, knollwoodcommunity.org. And we're going to kick things off. We've got 2 wonderful special guests here. We have Kathy right here, who is our resident enrichment manager, and then Thomas Ridgely over here, who is our independent life manager. And we are doing a new topic today, which is a day in the life at Knollwood. And we thought, who better than these 2 wonderful staff members to join us? We're going to talk about the different activities, both in-house as well as outside, and then things that residents can participate in that are going on here, as far as weekly grocery trips, that kind of thing. So
Let's have them introduce themselves and how long they've been working here.
Yeah.
Do on the daily.
please,
So, go
Kathy,
ahead.
you want to go ahead and start?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Kathy Bias, and I have been at Knollwood for 14 years and 4 months, actually, yesterday.
Ooh, congratulations, that's amazing. Lucky Knollwood. All right, and we've got Thomas over here. Thomas, you want to tell us a little bit about how long you've been here?
Sure, I'm Thomas Ridgely, and I've been at Knollwood for 10 years.
Right.
I started out as the front desk lead, and then transitioned about 2.5 years ago to independent living manager.
So why don't we go ahead, we can have maybe Kathy, why don't you tell us a little bit about what exactly it is you do? And maybe you can talk a little bit about what you have here, as well as some of your favorite things that we do here at Knollwood. I think would be great.
Sure, I'd like to. Our staff consists of myself. I do the in-house programming. Our coworker Jamie, she does the trips, the cultural and intellectual trips outside of the building, and she also does the art, craft, make, and tech lab programs. So this is our calendar, and I had to bring it today because if I wanted to mention one day, I would get confused. There's so much, I can't remember everything.
It's true. One thing that Heidi and I hear all the time from incoming residents is, I have never been busier. Once they get here and actually get a feel for Knollwood and they're kind of settling in, they look at this wonderful activities calendar, they see all that we have going on every day of the week, and they're like, oh my gosh, my schedule is jam-packed, but they love it because there's so many things to participate in. That's wonderful.
That's true, and it's all really very individually driven. Independent residents can actually pick and choose everything or nothing, excuse me, that they want to do. They can be super busy, or they can be partially busy, or they can be kind of relaxed and just take each day as it comes. And that's the beauty of the calendar. Nothing is required. It's all up to them whether or not they want to participate. I start with regularly scheduled things like exercise classes. Those are
We have at least one a day, Monday through Friday, right?
the only day yes, we do pretty much, but also Brain Fit. Brain Fit, we count kind of as an exercise class. And so those are easy to pick and choose from. You can develop your own regular schedule for all of them. And then we also have regularly scheduled programs like Shakespeare lecture. That's every month. Women's and men's discussion groups, those occur each month. There's Bible study, there's It just look, there's great courses, there's a whole bunch of different things like that that we insert. And then on top of that, we insert special programs. For instance, this month is African American History Month. And we'll be showing the movie Rustin, which the actor was nominated for an Academy Award. And then we're gonna have a local band, the Tacoma Park Community Band is gonna be coming in on a weekend to play songs featuring African American composers. And we're really happy with this band because it has a member who also happens to be a resident, and he's a founding member of the band. And so residents come not only to hear the music and see the band, but also to support their fellow resident who's been playing with the band for 50 years. So that's very special. So that's how we round out our calendar. We stick the extra or the regularly scheduled items in the exercise classes and things, and then we put things here and there to round out the calendar.
That's amazing.
I wanted to touch on the exercise classes because I was telling Kathy earlier before we started that I've worked at several communities, but I've never seen so many different activities, nor have I seen so much participation. So most places I've been, there's maybe one or two exercise classes, and they're usually the same everywhere I've been. And here, I was so excited. Like my first couple of weeks here, I walk down the hall and I see our residents doing floor yoga. I love yoga. So to see our residents on the floor doing yoga, it just melts my heart. So will you just touch on like some of the different exercise opportunities there are here? Because there's a lot.
Sure. We have water aerobics 3 times a week. We have a class called Sit and Fit, and that is a really good workout in your chair. The instructor that we have has been with us for about 12 years. He started coming with his little baby son in a stroller. Of course, now the child, I think, is in middle school. So, but he doesn't come anymore. The little child doesn't come anymore. But Sit and Fit, that's twice a week, and residents really enjoy that. The Friday class, we use weights. The instructor has weights and people use weights. Wednesday is Zumba, half an hour of standing Zumba and half an hour of sitting Zumba. Thursday, of course, is Brain Fit and yoga, not at the same time, different times. And then Friday, Sit and Fit and the water aerobics. So basically every day there's something you can do.
And that's amazing that there's so many opportunities. In addition to the various fitness spaces we have here at Knollwood, if residents want to engage with each other or get instruction, it's available, which is so nice. I think another thing that would be great to touch on, and maybe Thomas, you can speak to this a little bit, would be some of the things that we do weekly that the residents might utilize our Knollwood shuttle for. So our various troops. Okay.
As Kathy stated, Janie does a trip once a week with our residents outside, museums and different cultural activities. We also have weekly grocery trips twice a week. The commissary trips we go to mostly on Saturdays, and once a month on Fridays. So those are the type of trips that we have. And we also utilize the shuttles for Walter Reed, and also Sibley, which are the 2 closest hospitals in the area.
Now, I have to say, I'm a huge Trader Joe's fan. So if I were a resident moving in, would I be able to go to Trader Joe's?
Of course.
Okay. One thing that I always kind of talk about when I'm bringing people in is it's wonderful that we go to the grocery store twice a week. But the best part, in my opinion, is typically that Thursday trip, there's a variety. So sometimes it's Whole Foods, sometimes Trader Joe's, Giant. Sometimes they go to Walmart, Target. So it's nice. It's not just the same thing all the time. And so I think that is so beneficial to our residents, especially someone like me who Trader Joe's, that's my jam. I've got to go there at least once a week.
Let me just tag on to
Yes.
that the variety of all these shopping trips has been brought about by resident request, asking that, oh gosh, I need to go to Trader Joe's, or have you ever thought about going to this store, Rodman's, whatever, in the neighborhood? And so we always look carefully at the calendar. There's some little nuances that we have to figure out. If it's far away, then we have to make sure we don't put it on a Monday there, that we have an 11 o'clock health forum or something like that. So we are able to work around the schedule, but many of the requests for the shopping trips come from residents, and we work very closely with the activities committee on making sure that trips and shopping trips and the needs and wants of residents are met.
Yeah.
You just answered one of our questions.
Oh, yeah.
And you didn't even see it yet.
I
So
like it.
we have questions coming in. Thank you so much. Keep them coming. We love to answer your questions. So one of the questions that just came in, Kathy answered. It said, are residents involved in choosing programs and activities?
There is an activities committee, and there are a number of residents on there, some newer residents with new and fresh ideas, some other residents that have been on it for a while. Many of them are computer literate and savvy, and they do a lot of research and check everything out. They give us a list every month after they meet. And Janie does all the research on the trips to see if it's really a feasible trip for independent residents, as far as can the large bus actually pull up, and if necessary, can the wheelchair lift deploy in an area? Is it safe for them to disembark? Is it a accessible entry? All of these things that Janie has to check out before we really can decide if it's a feasible trip for the residents.
That's amazing. What other committees do we have here that residents are a part of? I think there's quite a few, and you all probably know them a little bit better than I do.
The only one I'm involved in is the chapel committee,
Okay.
and the chapel committee works to make sure that we attend the spiritual needs of the residents with Catholic masses on Saturday and Episcopal church or Episcopal service on the first Sunday, and then general Protestant services on the other Sundays. Now with Lent coming up, there'll be Ash Wednesday services for both of those, and then also Holy Week will come up and there'll be services for that.
For me, I'm involved in several committees.
Please tell us more.
I'm involved in the House Committee, which houses all the committees here with the residents at Knollwood. I'm also involved in the Health Services Committee, where we discuss basically the needs for our independent residents in all levels of care. So I pop my head in most of the committees here.
That's great. And I think it's really important for our audience to know how much involvement residents can have if they choose here at Knollwood, as far as being a part of these committees. And additionally, there are a variety of clubs as well. Another question we had come in was, what issues does Thomas deal with as independent living manager? So let's keep on the positive side here, Thomas. But yeah, tell us a little bit more about what kind of things might come up as you work with our residents
For
here.
me, I don't think we really have any issues. I would say that I'm the resident advocate. I am normally the voice for the residents. When they feel they cannot speak for themselves, I speak up for them. Some of the issues I deal with are tech issues. Of course, Kathy mentioned that some of our residents are computer savvy, others are not computer savvy. I do what I can to make sure that things are up to par, that they understand our care merge, social media aspect of Knollwood. I am not a tech support person, but I do assist where I can. So any issues that the residents are dealing with, whether they're work sub issues, maintenance issues, I am normally the one that they come to try to rectify the situations.
Okay, and I think you mentioned two things that we should really touch on before we go over to one of Heidi's additional questions, which would be care merge. Let's tell our audience what that is, or what our residents might utilize that for, and then also Works Hub. So does one of you want to talk about care merge?
Care merge. So,
Sure.
okay.
So Care Merge is an online platform. That's the term that I've heard about it. When a new resident comes in, they're registered into Care Merge. They have to have an email address. On Care Merge, they can get announcements right onto their computer about things that are happening that day. They can get a Zoom link for a program that will be Zoomed. They can see the daily calendar, they can see the daily menu, they can see special announcements, operational updates posted, many, many things full of information for them. It does take a little bit to work around the site and kind of get used to it, but the residents have mentioned to me, I go on it every day. First thing, I go on camera every day to see what's going on. On the back end, it's a big job for me to keep everything loaded and up to date as best that I can. Sometimes it's a little bit more tricky than other times, but we do our best. It is very helpful. And I just got a suggestion from a resident that we need another tutorial. So we'll be looking at doing that.
Well, it sounds like a great resource, so that's amazing. And then tell us a little bit about WorkSum.
Workshop is an online portal for our maintenance facilities area. It's when the residents have maintenance issues, which includes housekeeping. They enter it into the portal and it goes to one of our maintenance facilities to reach out to them immediately. I would say it normally takes a couple of hours before maintenance reaches back out to them, but it's a pretty savvy tool for our residents. And if they cannot enter the information, of course, they call me and I enter it into the portal for them.
It's amazing. And I know from people, I've only ever worked at Knollwood, but I know Heidi, who's worked at other communities, I think she would say that the turnaround time for that is pretty good comparatively.
Oh my goodness.
Sometimes you can be waiting days and weeks, and we do our best to really get on those pressing issues.
I'm not
ASAP.
used to having so many engineers, and maintenance people, 24 hours at work. It's like luxury. I have touched toilets for myself before. So not here at Knollwood, because Knollwood's awesome.
That's right.
So I was just gonna also speak on the thing I think of for Thomas, one of his many roles is when people come in from out of state, which out of state here could just be Maryland, or it could just be Virginia. But when people come out of state, the idea of becoming a DC resident and getting your DC driver's license is a bit overwhelming. And this is the guy that helps with that. So he's kind of the go-to for things like that when you're trying to get adapted to that, not only in the new community, but into maybe a new state, or city. So,
And voting registration.
yes, all of those.
And jury summons.
Yes. Yes.
Sliding on age.
Yes. Yeah.
What
So-
other questions did you get, Heidi?
What is the most popular programs?
Ooh, that's a great question.
I know one of our exercise classes, I see that entire Anderson salon completely full.
Sit and Fit is very popular. I forgot we have one really good exercise class too on Friday. So we have 3 classes on Friday. This is called Strength and Balance, and this is an upstanding, you stand up, a hard workout. We keep a chair by you for balance, but this, you don't sit down at all. And our instructor really puts you through the ringer for that one. And many residents don't even want to go to Sit and Fit on Friday after that, but many of them do. The most popular programs, for instance, we had a hall coffee yesterday. The hall coffee is to announce the calendar, although it's already been passed out, but to highlight many of the special things going on. Janie goes through all of her trips and says whether or not there's space available. It's just a really uplifting way to look forward to the upcoming month. Residents sit down to tables, set up tables with pastry and fruit and hot coffee, and they sit and they converse. And we had over 100 people there yesterday, which was unusual, but wonderful. So that's a very popular program. Any of the intellectual programs, the afternoon conversation programs, we tend to get 60 or 70 people there. Traditionally, we've celebrated military birthdays, and that usually gets 70 or 80 people in attendance there. And I never can tell. A lot of it has to do with how well the program is advertised. If my poster is eye-catching, that I get it up in time and people are aware. But the good thing is people can pick and choose depending on their own personal schedule, whether they want to attend or not. Nothing is parties are big. That's true. This month is Mardi Gras.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Last
a-
year was so much
Yeah.
fun. Oh my
We have a great band coming. They've been the last couple of years, Jefferson Street Strutters, a Dixieland band, and they play music and residents dance, and they all have beads, masks, and then there's refreshment, food and drink, and that's really a great time.
That's wonderful.
So I just wanted to be sure, I know that we're kind of talking about, the day of what it's like right here at Knollwood, even just on a. I asked Kathy, even talking about like a normal day, and there's really not a normal day, because every day is so different, and you can choose so many different things, but I just wanted to touch a little bit on dining, you know, so when when you wake up in the morning here, you can go down and you can get coffee in the bistro, and you can sit at the friendship table with your friends, and that's how you can start your day before you go to these activities. So is there anything else you all want to touch on about just quickly on like the dining?
Well, let's say dining is open 7:30 to 7 every day, aside from 2:30 to 3:30, they do a reset to prep for dinner. Breakfast goes until 11, and then dinner does officially start at 4. They have things that change weekly as well as daily. What other things would you all throw in there?
Done.
Or I can talk more on dining. I'll talk more on dining.
So I work with dining, and I
Yeah.
work to get some of the dining events on this calendar. I did make a mistake this month because we have 2 free cookie days, and dining wouldn't be happy with that, so
Talk about free cookies.
today is free cookie day. Staff and managers and all of their staff are welcome to go to the dining room and get a free cookie, and they're really delicious. There's a choice of 5 different ones, so it's free cookie day. Also today, for instance, there's a program they call Culinary Creations, where they'll set up outside or tables, not behind the cooking area or the counter, and they'll do a baked potato bar where you go and you pick your potato and pick all your toppings. So they have a lot of special events like that. They have Sunday day and milkshake day and smoothie day, and then they have a program that they have somebody come from the dining room staff and show how to prepare a healthy item to eat, and that's always nice. We always get a fair number of residents there to see how to make this item. They get the recipe, they get to taste it. So the dining room also does around the world dining. There's one meal a month. Last month, they were trying to do a luau, and that didn't quite work. They kept the food, but they weren't able to expand it as much as they wanted because of some other issues, but they do a lot. There's things on the weekends with special meals, special items to eat, sweet rolls, special pancakes. I think a few months ago, they had breakfast for dinner and everybody wore their pajamas at night. It was
That's
wild.
fun.
Yeah,
That's
they
really
do a lot
fun.
of fun things. I know even like when baseball season started, they had like the baseball opening season meal, hot dogs and peanuts and fun things. So there's always like they kind of do a themed meal for whatever holiday or whatever's going on. So I got a question, and it says, it seems like residents are generally engaged. How do you help those who don't really engage in programs and with other residents? I'll just start and then I'll let you go. So in independent living, our independent residents are independent. It's their choice. If they want to engage, then they can engage. And if they don't, then we're gonna let them not and do what they want to do. So I would say that if they're just shy and they're not engaging because maybe they're just shy or they're new, we have a lot of very friendly, welcoming residents that are gonna immediately notice that they're the new kid on the block and introduce themselves. We have our friendship table where anybody's welcome to sit in the dining room. It's a great way to get to know people. Residents are always encouraged to participate in programs. However, if you're in independent living, you really are going to get the choice to do what you want to do. If you were in another neighborhood, you would be more encouraged and maybe even escorted to an activity. But in independent living, it's under the understanding that you're going to be able to come to them when you're healthy and you're wanting to come to them. Would you touch on any of that?
I think that our residents are more engaged with one another, so they really don't need us to be encouraged.
There's enough little peer
Yeah,
pressure.
they'll push
There's
you
some peer pressure.
to do it. And I don't think we have many residents that don't engage.
No.
Most of our residents are pretty much engaging one another, which is the fun part about being
Right.
in.
I think there can sometimes be a misunderstanding that, oh, because that's an art class and I'm not an artist, I can't go, but that's not the case at all. The art class is a class. We've had residents that have done art their whole life. We've had residents that have started art in their 70s, 80s, and 90s and really enjoyed it. And I think that should a newer resident or one that's a little bit shy have any qualms about going to an event or a class or something, that our phone lines are always open. We're always up and we're always visible. And we would hope that they would feel comfortable to come to us and ask those questions. Dig for a little bit more information about whether the program would be a good fit or even just to watch, sit back and watch. And that, of course, is always perfectly okay. But the art classes are wonderful. A highly talented art teacher. And it's a class. Please come and learn. You don't already have to know all of the art.
Very accessible.
Yeah.
And very kind of beginner friendly. So if you have, like Kathy said, if you have never, done watercolors before, well, the teacher who's there is gonna help you through it. It's very fun, and we have this wonderful art cafe where we have these classes, but also if you are an artist and you have your own project you want to work on, you can reserve time there. And then we have a wonderful art show every year where our various residents showcase all of their work, which is so incredible. So
Thank you for mentioning that. That's a big event here.
yeah, and it's so, for us in sales and marketing, it's so fun to get to see, because while we do get to know the residents as we're working with them on the move-in process, and we may know someone is an artist, we really get to kind of see some of the things they've been working on or things they've done throughout their life. And we love to talk about it to our incoming residents as well. And here we have some pictures from the art show. What's really, really cool is we have our artist residents who use a variety of mediums. So some are sculptors, some use watercolors, all kinds of things. Yep. So it's really, really neat to see that.
We don't want to forget the Knollwood show. Yes.
Let's talk
Knollwood
about
Oh my
that.
Knollwood
goodness,
show.
I'm so glad you brought that up. That is actually one of my favorite things here.
Yeah.
So we like doing the Knollwood show
Tell them what it is.
in part because all of Knollwood basically can participate in one way or another. There's actors, there's singers, there's dancers, but also the other levels at Knollwood typically can come up and watch the show. So basically 100% of Knollwood, the Knollwood community participates in some way, shape or form. And we're really proud of that. The
It's a
Knollwood show,
musical.
the Knollwood show started,
Residents and employees.
residents and
Yes.
staff. It
Yes.
started in 2006. And of course, we had to take a break through COVID. We've started up again. And it takes a community to put it on, many residents, regardless of talent, if they have the desire and the commitment to give to the show, and it is a commitment, then they're in the show. We're just gonna start up our rehearsals this week. And this year, the show is going to be in late April. It's called Senior Prom, and we're really excited to put it on.
And did one of the residents write it?
It is written by a resident, and as all of the other shows have been written by residents.
So it's a musical that's written by a resident and then it's directed by a resident, and then the performers in the show are residents and employees.
It's really, really fun, lighthearted. It's a great way that the community comes together. And it's fun because we're entertaining each other, and being silly and just having fun with it. But it is serious work. They do put a lot of time and effort and energy. There's practice, so it means a lot to everyone when they do that. One of the questions we got that I will go ahead and answer is, are the programs exclusively for independent living? What about assisted living and skilled nursing? And so what I will say is independent living is our largest neighborhood here at Knollwood. And these guys do so much for it. So we really wanted to feature these two faces who, as an independent living resident, you would see regularly. Now, if there is activity staff for assisted living and activity staff for skilled nursing, they have their own calendars, but Hall Coffee that Kathy mentioned, residents from assisted living come up, even some from skilled may come up and participate in the Hall Coffee. If someone is in assisted living and they are able to get themselves from that neighborhood over to independent living for something like drumming circle perhaps, or maybe sit and fit, they're more than welcome. But we do have activity staff at those higher levels of care who work on programming that would be beneficial to individuals who reside at those levels. And then we did get a question about how many residents there are. I would say between 250 and 300 as a blanket.
It's hard because marketing, we count beds, not heads, is what we always say.
Yeah.
And so we have couples, we have sisters, we have mom and daughters, we have all kinds of different scenarios sharing apartments. And then also here at Knollwood, we take small apartments and combine them and make them one. So it's always changing for us. So when we scratch our head, when people ask us how many apartments we have, it's because
It does
always
change.
changing.
Yeah.
But we have, the most of our residents, and like Colin said, our greatest population is in the independent living, and then the other neighborhoods are a little bit small.
Yeah.
Or quite a bit small.
Just under 70% of the people who live in independent living, and we have just under 160 independent living apartment homes versus assisted living, we have 43 apartment homes, and in skilled nursing, it does fluctuate. We had a higher number, but with COVID, we converted a lot of our semi-private rooms to private rooms. So I usually say it's around 50, 25 between our memory care unit and our long-term care unit, 25 each, I should say. Might be a little bit, but gives you a rough idea. Okay, any other questions? Audience, please go ahead and key them in now. Otherwise, we will kind of wrap things up, do our final slide. If our guests have anything additional they want to share, we'd love to open the floor to them.
I do want to touch on something. So we talked about activities, we talked about dining. I want to just a little bit touch on security. So if I was looking for a community and I was going to live here, I'd want to know, tell me a little bit about, and of course I know all these things, but tell me a little bit about what happens at night. Do the doors get locked? Is there anybody here kind of watching over the building? And I'm going to have Thomas answer that question.
There's always somebody here 24 hours a day. Front desk staff is here 24 hours a day. Security is here. And we also have maintenance that is here 24 hours a day. Surveying the building, making sure that things are running properly. So yeah, we're pretty much a secure community.
And our doors lock, I'm sorry.
Yes, our doors are
And we would
locked.
have a fob
We
if you
have the
live
fob
here.
to let you in and out of the building. That's all day.
And then at 11, even the fob accessible
Yes.
entryways are completely locked. So overnight, anyone who enters the building has to come in through the front, which is great because that means someone's laying eyes on them.
And there's
Just
an
added
overnight
security.
concierge.
Anything else y'all want to throw in?
Well, I would just like to talk just a bit more on the weekly excursions that our coworker Janie does, because she does such a fabulous job. And she gave me some notes, and they're pretty much labeled for cultural and intellectual experiences. And she plans trips to the museums, and everybody knows DC has a plethora of museums, and even little tiny museums that I've never heard of. Janie seems to find and be able to arrange a trip. Smithsonian, the Phillips, the Krieger, all these different museums are wonderful. When the weather's permitting, she takes them to the gardens. The residents walk around, look at the plants, and really enjoy that. Many historic homes in the area, military sites, shows at the Kennedy Center, the Folger, and other theaters that she takes them to. And once a month, at a restaurant outing where residents pay for their own lunch, but going and having any kind of food, African American, Italian,
French.
Irish, French, all of these different restaurants
So many great ones here in this area.
that Janie takes everybody to. And then, and we did touch on the shopping trips, malls and weekly grocery trips to many different places available in the area. So a shout out to our
Yeah.
teammate, Janie. We're so grateful for her part. Also, the art and culture, or art and Make and Tech Lab. The Make and Tech Lab is a relatively new space. It's between the library and the lower foyer, the elevators. And in there, you can use a computer, you can use a 3D printer, you can use a sewing machine, an embroidery machine, a cry cut machine, there's knitting, there's crocheting, there's classes on AI on the big screen. There's a lot going on in the Make and Tech Lab.
Jewelry making.
Jewelry making, that's one is coming up. So a lot to do down there too.
We really have such a plethora of exciting in-house as well as outside activities that our residents can participate in. As Kathy mentioned, whatever your interests are, and maybe you want to try something new that's available here. And we're so grateful to have such a wonderful team behind us who really engages with the residents and thinks about their complete well-being, all of, our circle of wellness that we used to talk about all the time, all the different areas, to make sure their needs are being met and just being accessible and encouraging and inviting. So we really are grateful to our wonderful guests here today, for joining us and kind of highlighting some of the best parts of Knollwood, truly.
Can I have one more thing?
Please.
This is really little. I change watch batteries.
Got little to them.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Residents really count on their watches. Now, once in a while, I'll get a beautiful watch and guess what? They have to wind it. But mostly, if I can get the back off the watch, I'll change the watch battery, and they're really grateful. That's an important service.
Yes.
I didn't realize how important it was.
It is, absolutely.
And the residents are always so forthcoming with their appreciation, with their words of thanks, with their words of praise and support for us, that we really treasure that and appreciate that a lot. Makes doing our job that much easier.
So we better wrap up, but thank you so much for coming and joining
Yes,
today,
thank you
Thomas
all.
and Kathy, and thank you for joining the webinar.
All right, and we're gonna, as always, do our last slide. So we do have another webinar coming up in March. That's gonna be featuring some residents. We love that, Meet the Residents. Just showcasing some of the wonderful people who live here. And additionally, as always, if you want more information, you want to request a tour, please go to our website, knollwoodcommunity.org.
Or give us a call.
Or give us a call at 202-541-0149. We thank you all for your time today. We hope this was insightful. We say thank you to our guests. This has been such a pleasure, and we'll see y'all next month.
Please schedule a tour if you haven't. Come see us and meet us in person.
Absolutely.
Have a great day.
Bye now.